Hello guys, so Jerry speaking. Welcome to Bedtime Stories, episode number 711. Today we part 2 of our 3 stories from Winnie-the-Pooh. So let's read them, shall we? So we got for us. Well, we left off on chapter, is page 22. And that is, of course, let's say... Let's see here. It's gonna take a while, folks. Stand by. Okay, there we go. In which Piglet meets a Heffalump. I don't know, that hasn't happened before in this very old days, but Heffalump in Pooh's Heffalump movie. But anyway, here we go. One day, when Chris Robin and Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, my dad, I don't know what it was. Anyways, we're all talking together. Chris Robin finished a mouthful when it was E and said carelessly, when he pronounced it. Anyway, I saw a Heffalump today, Piglet. When I was doing it, asked Piglet. Just lumping along, said Chris Robin. I don't think it saw me. I saw one once, said Piglet. At least I think I did, he said. Oh, and perhaps it wasn't. So do I, said Pooh. When it was a Heffalump looks like. You don't ever often see them, said Chris Robin carefully when he pronounced it. Anyway. Not now, said Piglet. Not this time of the year, something like that. Anyway, said Pooh. Then they all talk about something else. Until it was time then for Pooh and Piglet to come home together. At first, as they stumble along the path which edged the Hungry Acre Wood, they didn't say much to each other. You think? Anyways, but when they come to the stream and help each other cross the stepping stone, we're about to walk side by side again over the heather, something like that. Anyway, they began to talk in a friendly way about this and that. Piglet said this, okay? If you see what I mean, Pooh, and Pooh said, if you want to think myself, Piglet, and Piglet said, whenever said Pooh, we must remember, and Pooh said quite, kind of makes sense anyway, so there you go. You see Christopher Robin talking to Pooh and Piglet? That makes more difference anyway. Anyways, next page we say quite true, Piglet. Anyway, although I have forgotten it for a moment, okay, makes sense anyway. And then, just as came for 6 pine trees, Pooh looked around to see that nobody's house was listening and said in a very solemn voice. Piglet decided something. What do you have decided, Pooh? I decided to catch a Heffalump. Okay? Pooh nodded his head several times they said this, and waited for Piglet to say how. Or Pooh, you could. And something helpful in the sort. But Piglet said nothing. That fact that Piglet was wishing that he had thought of it at first. So did it, said Pooh, after waiting a little longer by means of the trap. And it must be coming traps like that. So you will have to help me, Piglet, when the mouth anyway. My mouth keeps smoking, but anyway. Pooh said Piglet, feel quite happy again now. I will. And then he said, how should we do it? And Pooh said, that's just it, how? And then they sat down together to think about it. Figure it out, anyway. Pooh's first idea was that they should dig a very deep pit, not hole, so we go at. And then the Heffalump will come along and fall into the pit. And why, said Piglet. Why what, said Pooh. Why would you fall in? You told me, Piglet. Anyways, Pooh brushed his nose into his paw and then said that the Heffalump might be walking around, humming a little song, looking up at the sky, wondering if it would rain, so he would see a very deep pit. Until he wasn't halfway down, and so it would be too late. Piglet said that it was a very good trap, but supposedly it would be ready already. Wow. Okay? Pooh rubbed his nose again and said he hasn't thought of that. And then he brought it up and said that it was raining already. The helmet would be looking at the sky, wondering if it would clear up some of that air. And so he would see the very deep pit until he was halfway down. Will it be too late? You're telling me. So better go down these words. Anyway, next page. Anyways, Piglet said that now that this point had been explained, he thought it would be a cunning trap. Pooh was very proud that he would hear this. He felt that the Pavlov was as good as a caught already. But there was just one other thing we was having thought about. And it was this. Where should they dig the very deep pit? You're telling me. Piglet said the best place should be somewhere where Pavlov was, so that before he fell and then onto it, some of that, only about a foot further on. But there you would see us digging it. You're telling me, said Pooh. No, he was looking at the sky. Okay? It was suspect, said Pooh. He happened to look down, he thought for a long time and then had, sadly, it was as easy as I thought. I suppose that's why Pavlov's already ever got caught. That must be it, said Piglet. They got up, and when they had taken a few scores pickles from that, out of themselves, they sat it down again. Tell me. And all the time Pooh was saying to himself, if only could think of something, for he felt sure that if very clever brain could catch a Pavlov if he really knew the right to go about it. Makes sense anyway. Suppose, he said to Piglet, you want to catch me, how you would do it? Well, said Piglet, I should do it like this. I should make a trap. I should pat a jar of honey in the trap, and you will smell it, and you would go in after it, and I should go in after it, and said Pooh excitedly, something anyway. Only I carefully so I not hurt myself, and I will get to the jar of honey, you told me. And so I licked my edges of first of all, pretend to be there wasn't any more, you know, that, and then I should walk away and then think about it a little and figure I should come back some of that. Start licking in the middle of the jar and then, yes, well, never mind about that. They were, and I should catch you. Now the first thing too, okay, show you the ways anyway. Next page. Anyways, should think about is, what the Pavlov's like. I should think of acorns, okay? Should you? What do you think about? Will you get a lot? That's one that. I say, wake up, Pooh. You told me. Anyways, Pooh would have gone into a heavy dream. Woke up with a smart start. Said that honey was much more trappy thing than acorns. But anyway, Piglet doesn't think so, and they was just willing to argue about it. Wow, just wow. But anyway, when Piglet remembered that, it would be put acorns in the trap. It would have to find the acorns. Wow, okay. But if they put the honey, then Pooh would have to give up some of his own honey. So he said, "Alright, honey, then." Said just Pooh remembered it too, and was going to say, "Alright, acorns." Honey, said Piglet to himself in a thoughtful way. As it wasn't now so, I'll dig the pit. Where you go and get the honey. Very well, said Pooh, to stumble off. And as soon as he got home, he went to the hot ladder and he stood on the chair and took down the very large jar of honey from the top shelf. It was honey, H-U-N-N-Y for short. But anyway, really on it. But just to make sure, it took off the paper cover and looked at it, and it looked like it's just like honey at all costs. Anyway, we never can tell. Said Pooh. I remember my uncle saying it once that he had seen the cheese this color, yellow. Wow. CULOUR, not the CULCRLOR. They spell in UK, but that's just me. But anyway, so you put his tongue in, put a large lick, took a lot of drinks from that. Anyway, yes, he said it is, no doubt about that. And honey, just say right down to the bottom of the jar, unless of course he said somebody put cheese in the bottom of just for a joke. Wow, just wow. Again, but anyway, perhaps I have just better go a little further, just in case hellworms don't like cheese. We'll see what happens. Anyways, same with me. Ah, wow. And he gave a deep sigh. I was right. It is honey, right the way down. You're telling me, because it makes more sense for Pooh, because he does not like cheese, hot like bears, it can happen anyway. From Winnie-the-Pooh difference. Next page. Anyways, now, how made sure of this? Like that. Anyway, took the jar back to Piglet. And Piglet looked up to the bottom of this very deep pit and said, "Got it." And Pooh said, "Yes, but it isn't quite a full jar." Wow, okay. And he threw it down to the piglets on that. Piglet said, "No, it isn't. And it's all you got left?" And Pooh said, "Yes." But because it was, and so Piglet could put the jar at the bottom of the pit, to climb out, and they went off and home together. Well, okay. "Well, good night, Pooh," said Piglet. So when they had got into Pooh's house, and when they meet at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, the pine trees, and see how many hellworms we got in the trap. 6 o'clock, Piglet, have you got any stray? No, why did you want stray? To eat them home with. Oh, I think hellworms come in your whistle. Well, okay. Some of you do, some don't. So you never can tell when hellworms, well, good night. And I'll Piglet trial in this house, and Trumber's W, while Pooh makes his finish for bed. Wow. Okay. Some hours later, this is the night that was beginning to steal away. Pooh woke up suddenly with a sinking feeling. He had twice. Anyway, that sinking feeling before. And he knew what it meant. He was hungry. He went to the larder, so he was on the chair, reached up at the top shelf, and found nothing. That's funny, he thought. I know I have a jar of honey there, a jar full of jars from there, full of honey right up the tops like that. It had honey, HUNY. Again, that's for sure. Bad. Written on it, so that I should know it was honey. That's very funny. Exactly. And so then I began to wonder up down, wonder what it was. We'll have to figure this out for yourselves. That will make more sense anyway. Pooh and the Piglet drawings. Illustrations. Anyway, next page. Anyways, and murmur to himself like this. It's very, very funny, because I know I have some honey. Because I will have label on, saying honey, HUNY for sure. Bam. I got also blow up pot too. And I know where it's got to. No, I don't know where it's gone. Well, it's funny. Hey ho, he had murmur this to himself. Anyway, 3 times in the singing short way. So he remembered he had put in the coming trap to catch a humble some of that bobber. Said Pooh. It all comes to trying to be kind to hellworms. Exactly. They got back to bed, but he couldn't sleep. the more you tried to sleep, the more you couldn't. You tried counting sheep. Wow. Which is something a good way to get into sleep. And that is no good at all. Wow. He tried counting heffalumps, and that's the worst part ever. Because every heffalump that he tallied was making straight the pot of Pooh's honey. That is stealing. Wow. And eating it all. It's costless. So yeah, I know it's not in counting the money that's cheap back then, but nowadays it's costless money. But for some minutes he lay in there miserably on that. But when the 587th heffalump was looking at his jaw, wow. And saying to himself, very good honey there, this. I don't know why it makes sense. I don't know what it tasted, but better. Pooh could bear it no longer. Jumping out of bed, he ran out of the house, and he ran straight to the 6 pine trees. Wow. Okay. The sun was still in bed. I don't know why it's going to be still in bed, according to the book says. But those in the lightness and the sky of the 100-acre wood was still to show that we'll be waking up and we'll be kicking. Wow. I don't know what's that going on. Seeing the picture here is a heffalump already drawing, so there you go. Who tried to sleep anyway. Next page. Anyways, off the clothes, and the highlight with the pine trees look cold and lonely. I don't know. It was a very deep pit, seemed deeper than it was, and Pooh's jar of honey at the bottom was something mysterious. Oh boy, what has he got into? Anyway, should no more. But it got nearer, and there's her nose, and got nearer, and there's no something like that. Anyway, told him that there was indeed honey, but his tongue came out and began to polish up his mouth, ready for it. Tell me. It's Barbara, said Pooh, and he got his nose inside the jar. How about if you clean it? Oh, jeez, why? Anyways, and then he thought a little and said, "Oh no, I did. I forgot." Wow. Okay. Anyways, indeed he had eaten most of it, but there was a little left in the bottom of the jar, and he pushed his head right in and began to lick. You told me. Anyways, by and by, Piglet woke up, and soon he woke up, and he said to himself, "Oh," and said bravely, "Yes," and then still more bravery, quite so. You told me. Anyways, but he didn't feel very brave for the words him, which was really during G-I-G-G-E-T-I-N-G. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. But about it in his brain was heffalumps. Wow. What was the heffalump like? Was it fairies? I pronounced it. Sorry. Did it come near whistle? How did it come? Was it flying pigs at all? Wow. Seeing the picture here, he was lonely at the times at all times, you know. And the next picture here is where Pooh trying to look at Piglet all the times cost. Next page. Anyways, it's a heffalump. Wow. Anyways, it's a fly of pigs. Did it make any difference what it's short pig? Wow. Suppose the fears of pigs was it made a difference a pig that his grandfather called Shrewsbury's William? I never heard that before, but okay. He didn't know the answer to any of those questions. And it was going to see the first heffalump in the hour from now. Yeez. Okay. Of course, Pooh would be with him. It was much more friendly with two. But suppose heffalump were very with pigs and bears. Wow. Wouldn't it be better to pretend that he would have a headache? It couldn't go up the 6 pine tree this morning? Wow, you told me. And suppose it was a very fine day. If there was no heffalumps in the trap, he will be not bed on the morn, simply wasting his time for nothing. You tell me. Again, okay, makes sense. What should we do? They have a clever idea. He would go up the slope very quietly the 6 pine trees now, peep very cautiously in the trap, and see if it was a Heffalump there. And whatever it was, he would go back to bed, and there wasn't. He went. So off he went. It was so at first he thought it was what would be a Heffalump in the trap. Wow. And then he thought that there would I almost forgot. And that there would and as he got nearer and is sure that there would, because he got here the Heffalump being about it like anything. Oh dear, said Piglet to himself, and he wanted to run away, but somehow haven't got. Oh man, I don't know. See, here's a always drawn Heffalump trying to chase Piglet. Wow, okay, it's scary enough. Next page. Anyways, but somehow having almost done with this chapter. Come on, really? But somehow, okay, but somehow, having got so near, it felt so, that he must just see what the Heffalump was like, okay? So he crept inside the trap and he looked in all the time Winnie-the-Pooh had been trying to get the honey jar out of his head. Wow. The more he shook it, the more tighter he stuck. Wow. Barber, he said, inside the jar, and oh help, he mostly, ow, wow. And, I don't know what's going on. It's too much. You know. And he tried bumping it against things, but couldn't see what it was bumping it against. But it didn't help him at all. Wow. And he tried to climb out of the trap, but it could see nothing but the jar. And much of that, he couldn't find his way, so at last he lifted up his head and jar it all across anyway. Jar it all somewhere, make a loud roaring noise of sadness and despair. Wow, okay. Scary enough. It was at the moment that Piglet looked down. Help, help, cried Piglet. Heffalump, a horrible Heffalump. And he screamed, and scrabbled up in the horror, as he could, so cried out, help, help, a horrible Heffalump. Misspelled Heffalump, but Hoffalump. Won't pronounce that. Hoff, Heffalump. Wow. Hoff, Heffalump. Wow. Misspelled well, but anyway. And he didn't stop crying and suffering until he got to Christopher Robin's house. Wow. Whatever the matter, Piglet, said Christopher Robin, was just getting up. Scary, I know. Anyways, said Piglet, breathing so hard that he could hardly speak. Wow. Wow. I don't know what to do next, but he was in his pajamas, you know. Didn't know what to do next. Here's Piglet, and then Pooh was trying to get help with the Pooh Bear, you know. Try to get ready anyway. And next 2 pages, and we'll get to the stopping point of chapter, and move on to the last chapter in the next episode. It are the following. Okay? Where? Up there, said Piglet, waving his paw. What does it look like? Like it has the biggest head you have ever saw. Wow. Chris Robin, a great enormous thing, like nothing. Big thing, well, I don't know. Like a enormous big nothing like a jar. Wow, it's scary, I know. Didn't know what to do next, anyway. Well, so, said Chris Robin, put on his shoes, and, she'll go and look for it. Come on. Piglet wasn't afraid. He could have Chris Robin with him, so off they went. Hear it, can you? Said Piglet initially as they got near. I can hear something, said Christopher Robin. It was Pooh bobbing his head against a tree root he had found. Wow. There, said Piglet, he was awful. Isn't it awful? Try to get it away anyway. He held on to tied the Christopher Robin's hand. Suddenly Christopher Robin began to laugh, and he laughed, and he laughed, and he laughed. And while he was still laughing, crashed when the apple up her head against the tree trunk, smashed went the jar, and out came Pooh's head again. Then Piglet saw what the foolish Piglet he had ever been. Wow. And he was ashamed of himself that he ran straight off home and went to bed with a headache. I felt ashamed for three of them. Christopher Robin, Pooh, and Piglet at the time. It was heartwarming, you know? Anyways, but Christopher Robin and Pooh went home to breakfast together. Exactly. Oh, but really, Christopher Robin? It's Pooh. Really? Anyways, oh, Bear, said Christopher Robin. I really love you. So do I, said Pooh. Now, it kind of makes sense. So, in that way, being have bears in the children's house, but then I should be proud of them. You know, that should make sense in the zoos back in the day. Anyway, we're gonna stop right here. So that was chapter 2. What did I think about this chapter? Pretty overwhelming, but I think that was amazing time to read. Anyway, the next episode we're gonna read, the last chapter we're gonna read is in which Eeyore had a birthday and gets 2 presents. So that's the last chapter to 3 stories from Winnie-the-Pooh. So that was episode Bedtime Stories, episode number 11. Hope you enjoy it. Soon's gonna be next Bedtime Stories episode, chapter 3, and final chapter of 3 stories from Winnie-the-Pooh. Excuse me. Birthday anyway. Now, excuse me, I gotta edit this episode, and I gotta edit more projects after this, and I get ready for bed. Because after this is over, I really need to get ready for work the next day. So that is preparing for what's going on with me tomorrow. Till next time, so just my baby, Willie, so out. See ya.